I want to welcome the GMs and the wives, the godly men and the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women out there. So, in today's video topic, I want to discuss why your value is higher than hers, man. It's just the truth most often than not, and a lot of men are devaluing themselves and making themselves believe that that is not the case. And if you really think about it, for the women that may be annoyed by uh, this topic, you want a man that is making more money than you, that is taller than you, that is more financially stable, that is more physically fit, that is all of these things, and yet you think that you want somebody and that is like that is going to treat you as if they are not the leader in the relationship. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So all of the women that do want to have this kind of control over a man, it's almost like you have to demonstrate to these women that you really can walk away if you need to. And it's not necessarily that you don't care, because you do have to show that you care, but it's almost as if you have to demonstrate also that you really couldn't care less whether she stayed or goed sometimes. Whenever things start to heat up, or whenever there's any kind of arguments that are trying to be risen by her, my recommendation for every man out there would be to, number one, never argue with a woman. There's nothing wrong, and there's no quarrels that you should have in wanting to have a conversation where you disagree. You can healthily disagree and still be able to understand where each other are coming from, etc. But if she's going to try to start arguments just for the sake of arguments, that's probably a Jezebel, man. And that is something that you do not want to deal with. You just do not want to deal with the Jezebels. I've dealt with enough Jezebels in my life to where I can start to see the patterns pretty easily. I'll start to see the indications of someone, whether they are trying to coerce me into doing something, seduce me into doing something, because this is another thing that you need to look out for, is how a woman is trying to seduce you. Because almost everything a woman says in the beginning stages is, if she does like you, is an attempt to seduce you by either, number one, making it super easy for you. And I'm a little bit cautious on that nowadays as well, even when a woman is making it easy for me, because I know that she likes me, of course, but it's like, okay, well, what exactly is she trying to get? What are her actions dictating and demonstrating to what is going on in the relationship that she wants from me? What exactly does she want me to give her? Because that's what a woman needs to be. A woman is supposed to be getting something from you as a man. That's why you have more value than her, because you're supposed to have the energy for unlimitedness. Like, you're supposed to have unlimited energy. You're supposed to have the abundance mentality. You're supposed to have other women that want to be in your life as well, because then you can actually get to a point, and it's a lot easier to have the abundance mentality when you actually have the abundance, whether it's finances, whether it's with women, whether it's with just life in general. It's a lot easier to have abundance when you actually know that you have abundance. But first, it does take that mindset, and it's like a muscle. Abundance mindset is like a bench press for your brain in some ways. In the same way that meditation is like a pull-up for your brain. It's something that you have to really work at, and it's a practice more than it is anything else. And so one way that you'll have to really recognize experienced women based off of non-experienced women is how they seduce you and how they try to interact with you. A woman that, because a lot of the times nowadays in the Western society that we live in, it's like women and men alike want to play the game of who's pretending not to like the other person more. And it's just so annoying. It's just so men that actually have stuff going on in their lives, that actually have something that they're trying to build, they don't have time for that kind of stuff. They don't they don't need to participate in those kinds of behaviors because they can just be direct. And if the woman is not receptive or she's not transparent, because a good woman is transparent. So if she's being transparent, then that's going to indicate that, well, you can actually be with this person. You can actually be not necessarily vulnerable, but you can actually get to know each other on a deeper level. And I'm not saying that vulnerability is necessarily like a bad thing, because vulnerability with a woman is actually a good thing on one condition: that the vulnerability that you are displaying has nothing to do with her safety or with her future security. So when she sees your scars, when you talk about your past and how you've built yourself up to be here, and you kind of do like a a gentle pat on the back as you're talking about yourself in this way, she's actually going to like that. And women, because they're already highly solipsistic individuals and narcissistic by nature, they have to be in some sense. They have to be obsessed with themselves and their lives in order to ensure that they're surviving, and that's just who they are, programmed as biologically. That's the way God made them. Because she's already obsessing over her life, you're going to have to be the man that is demonstrating how he can give back because of where he's been and how he's come up and built himself and his vision for the future. And it can be very challenging for you to actually build that vision sometimes if you're dealing with an uncooperative individual. And sometimes even if she is cooperative, maybe she's just not checking off a few of the other boxes. And this is where you have to continue to keep your standards as a man, because an experienced woman will make you feel like you're the next Casanova. she can be really good at making you feel like you're just the piece of meat that she's been dying to have all day and all night long. And there's nothing that she would want more than to get up on you in this moment. And that's a great feeling. That's a great feeling, but it's very momentary. And so you've got to make sure that you're being mindful and observant of how you are actually determining ways to interact with the woman that's in front of you, so that you don't get caught up in the game that she's playing, because you have to make sure that you're still your own focus. So many times in my life, I've seen men completely devalue themselves, all because they put this woman on the pedestal. They like, this is a woman that should probably be in jail because of all the manipulation that she's been able to conniving. She has this conniving way of being, and she's had a very deceptive way of being. And so this is a woman that ought to be in jail, because you're the one as a man. If you get to a certain point, you're going to have women following you. You're going to have women doing this. And to be fair, if women are not following you, then you're probably not doing something right. But at the same time, there's a certain extent in which a woman will chase you and not. Like, if she's acting desperate or like stalkerish, then that's a way that you need to cut that off. You need to let that go. But if she's more like chasing you because she wants your validation, even though she does have self-respect, she's going to chase you a little bit, but it's not going to be in a way that is going to degrade her self-respect, then that's probably a good woman. And that's the way that it's supposed to be. Because I don't really think that any man or woman should chase, male or female. They don't need to chase. It's just not attractive either way. But if you can demonstrate that you're interested and you can actually communicate with this person, well, then you might actually have something more to go through and talk about. But if you are someone that she's not getting your attention the way that she wants it, like it's just not working, whatever she's doing is just not working, you're going to drive her nuts. You're going to drive her bonkers. And I know this because I've seen it happen. I've literally seen women almost just collapse upon themselves, because you have to understand, and I don't like take pride in this. I don't like to reject women, but the women that I have rejected in the past, specifically within the last like 2 years, I've rejected more women have even tried to look my way in the previous like 5 years before that. But it's like all of those women that I've rejected, there were a few that I had to ask them if they were okay, because they were just shocked. And there was one woman that even told me that I was the first guy to ever tell her no. The first guy to ever tell her no. And she was probably 23 or so. Imagine that. Like just think about being alive on planet Earth, roaming around for 2 decades plus, never actually being told no. That's astounding. Because men get told no all the time. They get told no all the time. Men have to perform. They have to have a performance standard. Otherwise, they're not going to get anything that they want in life. If men are not performing, if men are not getting the ROI that they want, they don't actually have they're not getting any kind of value externally, it seems as though, from the world. Like if the men in our lives, if you look around at all the men that are around you, the men that are not getting results oftentimes are viewed as less valuable, right? So sometimes if just what you're doing is not working, for men, they're just fine to just, all right, that's done. It's not working. It's fine. There's going to be something over here. It's cool. Whereas women, if it's not working and she still wants it, she will invest the rest of her life before she gives up that L. She will not take the L. She will not take a loss. And I'm not speaking for all women here or all men here, but that is how I've seen women react. It's absolutely bonkers. They would rather you lose your self-respect as a man just so they don't feel like they're less than you. They would rather you try to chase them to make them feel like they've got something good going on finally. Oh, fine. Like there's been women in the past as well where I've covertly rejected, and then she's tried even harder, and it's like, okay, well, all right. Maybe I didn't see something else there. Like maybe I misjudged her. So I would go over and I would say, okay, well, all right, let's see what's up. Try to go over to talk to her just so that she can freaking reject me. So she tried. She tried to reel me back in just so she could get the win over me. Like that was just, I mean, that was a while ago, but still, like there are women like that where they cannot handle being rejected, so much so that if you're the guy that rejected her, even if she doesn't want you, she's going to put effort into making you feel like she's actually more valuable than she is, just so that she can reject your ass and make you feel like a complete fool because she felt like she was worth more. And now when she rejects you, all of a sudden now she's okay. Oh gosh, okay, I am the beautiful, smart, independent woman that I know I can be, that I feel that I am. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And so these are the kinds of women that, yes, men, you are more valuable than these kinds of women. You have to be. You have to be. And any man that is worth his salt has to be more valuable in the long run to any of the women that he's with, because ultimately, as the saying goes, there's beautiful women everywhere, but men that are actually building their lives, that actually have something going for themselves, that's very, very rare for our society nowadays. And it doesn't even take much to be someone that is in like the top echelons of your physical community. It really doesn't take much, because there are so many men out here that are just not even trying, and they think that, like, for me, for example, I would be the kind of person that would prefer to work for myself for less money than to work for somebody else in their vision and their dreams for more money. Now, this is not to say that if you have a day job that's bringing in the dough so that you can make your money work for you, well, that's fine. But ultimately, that is the goal, is to make your money work for you. And if you're not able to make your money work for you, then there's something that you're doing is not right. And if there's something that you're doing that is not right, well, then that's okay. Just do something that is actually working for you and not something that is trying to work against you. Because ultimately, a lot of these women out here, if you're dealing with them and something is just not working with them, it's okay to just cut it off. Too many men are so caught up with believing that they're not going to get something better, that they're not going to, like, they're going to have to settle for something else. And it's absolutely insane to me. Women should be thinking, okay, men are always constantly criticized for what they're bringing to the table. They have to bring literally everything, all the money, all the, like, women are by nature greedy and ready for clout. Like, that is what they want at their deep core. A lot of them will not admit this. And that's fine. That's okay. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for them. Again, that's the way God made them. But the reason for that is because they need to survive. They want to make sure that their offspring have the lives that they need to make more of them, to reproduce. So men automatically have to bring all of these things. And the modern women nowadays, the average woman, I can cook way better than almost any of the women that I've talked to. There's only been like one woman that I've talked to in the last 2 years that I think could probably cook better food than I can. And so it's like, women are just not even raised to be wives anymore. So we have to recognize this as men, and we have to look at this objectively and say, yep, this is the way it is. This is the way it's not. This is how we're going to operate now, because we're just not getting the ROI that we want. And it's not necessarily saying that we need to ignore women or we need to think that we're better than them, but we kind of are. We kind of are, if we're doing the work. If we're doing the work, and if we're trying to establish a sense of who we are to a greater extent. So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.